Hey everyone, it's Tony Ortiz, your friend, back again, and this is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night Randomizer tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to talk about movement. And the reason we're going to talk about this so early and before all the other stuff is because it's very important that you vibe with the way that you move in this kind of game. And that's because, if you don't really like the movement, you probably won't enjoy the game. So I want to get to that right away. It's also the main way that you're going to do things faster. So if you're looking to play through the randomizer and you're looking to do it quickly and speedrun it and erase it like a lot of us do, this is probably the most important section for you. Everything else you'll really learn as you go. It'll become very apparent, but there's a lot of things that just aren't baked into the game or that you're not told explicitly that you'll figure out by accident or whatever. And I want to try to arm you with that knowledge right away. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back out of the randomizer menu. I'm going to go in my normal playthrough. I have everything unlocked. So I can kind of show you exactly what's going on with all of the movement in the game. Okay, so this playthrough is not the best to demonstrate because it has everything. So I mentioned in one of the previous videos that I have all the books and stuff, and one of these books actually does increase your movement speed. So what you're going to see here is going to be a little bit faster than what you experience in the game when you first start. So just wanted to note that. But I do have all the shards and all the stuff so I can show you exactly what we're going to be doing. And I want to show you in a long flat area. So I'm just going to run over a couple screens. And this is going to allow me a ceilingless long hallway area to show you exactly what's going on with the movement. So let me just make sure that I have the right accessories as well. We're going to have yeah, I have the speed belt, the moon belt, and the strider belt. Okay, perfect. All right, and so basically, Miriam has a bunch of options to move. Most of them are available right away. They just don't get better without help. And then some of the better ones you're going to find as you play throughout the game. So the first one is obviously just walking forward. Holding left or right on the D-pad, as in any platformer, will move you forward. You'll notice that Miriam walking forward and jumping, the speed stays pretty consistent. So there's nothing in terms of jumping forward, at the height of the specific jump or whatever by itself that makes you move any faster. So you get no penalty for jumping, no penalty for just walking forward in terms of each other. Okay, so that's your basic thing. Now, unfortunately, that's also the slowest option that's available to you, especially from the beginning. So let's just talk about a couple of the other things that you have available for the beginning, and we'll kind of scale them up in terms of speed. So Miriam, if she can crouch in this game, just like I think pretty much every Igavania, you can crouch, and out of the crouch, if you press the jump button, she will slide. You'll see the little dust kick up there, and you can actually chain these together. You can spam them, but it doesn't come out instantaneously. There are a lot of things in the game that look at a startup window, an active window, and a recovery window of frames. So if you have no idea what that means, I'll break it down for you because it helps to understand what's actually happening. So when you do an attack or a jump or a slide or a backdash, you press the button. As soon as you press the button on that same frame or the frame right after it, depending on how the game's designers intend this to work, you start up the move. That's why it's called the startup portion of whatever you're doing. We'll call them startup frames. So there's a frame of animation. There's 60 tenths. There's 1/10 of a second, and then each tenth of a second has a sixth of a second. You break those down, and you get to 60 frames of animation in 1 second, right? So when I say something takes a tenth of a second, I actually am saying it takes 6 frames, or what would that be? 1/6 divided by 1/6 is 1/36th. Basically 1/60th of a second is 1 frame. That's the easiest way to explain it. And then you can kind of like extrapolate from there. 15 frames is 1/4 of a second, and whatever. So when you do an attack, when you do a jump, there's a X amount of frames of startup before you actually get to the active bit of the move. So Miriam, you'll notice the animation when she jumps here. There's not much, but there is a little bit of a change. Her position, her stance changes, and then she goes up in the air. And based on how long you hold the button, frame-wise, is how high she will jump up to a maximum. So this is me just holding the button. And notice she doesn't re-jump when I hold the button continuously or when I let go. So I have to actually take my finger off the button and press it again if I want to jump. So if I have double jump, I can double jump at any point, and I can re-input that jump, and same thing. I can get extra height and so on. But for the purposes of this, then the move is active. So like this is Miriam jumping, and then you are in recovery. So when you do an attack, jump, slide, there's a recovery period before you can do anything else. Before you return to the neutral standing state where you're not pressing any button on the controller, right? I'm not pressing anything here. It's important to understand what these frames are and how they operate. So, in this game and in many of the other Castlevania games, you can cancel certain parts of a move with other certain actions, and you can get around some of these startup and recovery delays that you would have, and that makes some of the movement very, very exploitable and fun. Also, the melee combat becomes way more fun. When you realize you can backdash and then slash before the backdash completes, you can backdash and jump. You can backdash, jump, and slash. You can backdash, jump, slash, backdash, jump, slash, and get a bunch more melee swings. See how slow this is? And it's even going to be faster than you would in a normal game because I have shards that make it faster. I have books that make it faster, but you'll see a normal melee swing, and you'll be able to really, cancel all these things together if you get really good at playing the game. That's why in the first video I mentioned the skill ceiling is still really high, even though the button inputs are of low complexity themselves. And so what you can do when you're sliding around here is this is about as fast as you can go, but it's still actually faster than walking. So if you were to time yourself from here, from say this tree right here to the bridge face, if you were just walking like this to that area right there, and you were to time yourself sliding, the sliding will be slightly faster than the walking. And that's a base move you start with, is the sliding. Now, let's talk about the backdash. The reason I explain to you about the canceling of stuff is because that's how a lot of the movement becomes even faster. So if you were to just backdash like this, you notice how Miriam has a lot of recovery when she backdashes there? She stops, the dust hits at her feet, and then there's several frames of animation where she just can't, she can't move forward. Can't move backwards. I can't crouch. Oh, wait, I can crouch. I can crouch at any point during this animation. That's interesting. And now, what happens if I do them in rapid succession? That looks a lot faster now, doesn't it? That's because it is. And this is the main form of movement you're going to have that's fastest available to you when you start the game with absolutely no equipment or items. So that is the main way you're going to move in the beginning before you find anything to aid you. It's called backdash canceling. The same thing exists in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. The only thing is that the backdash is not cancelable by a crouch in that game. It is cancelable by using your shield. So normally in Symphony of the Night, you would have a backdash button and a shield button, and you'd be pressing these two things back and forth or at the same time. And there's still a cap at which you can move, so you don't actually have to be literally as fast as possible, spamming this as much as you can. In fact, if you're less accurate, you'll stutter a little bit. Like if you backdash and crouch too late, you'll see the Miriam stops and crouches, which stops all of her movement. But if you get good at hitting the down arrow to crouch, or down on the control stick, or the D-pad, or both buttons if you're using leverless, you'll get really good at this, and this will save you a ton of time. So you can see how fast it takes to walk, and you can see how fast we go with backdashing. Much faster. And again, this principle of being able to cancel stuff applies to sliding too. You could actually cancel a backdash into a slide or a jump. So if something's about to hit me, I can backdash, jump, and then attack it from above. I can backdash, jump, and then turn around and jump backwards. I can backdash, jump twice if I have double jump and jump over an enemy, get behind it. All sorts of cool stuff like that to help your movement. And with slides, for whatever reason, we found that on the fourth slide, there's extra recovery frames. Really don't know why, but you can actually remove them by doing a backdash into the slide, because a backdash is cancelable by a slide at any point in the animation. Because a backdash is cancelable by a crouch at any point in the animation, and all a slide is just a crouch plus the jump button. So if I'm holding down and hitting A over and over again to slide, on that fourth slide, if I hit my backdash button and roll it over to my jump button, I get a little bit of extra speed, a little less recovery frames. And it's not really noticeable, but again, if you time yourself, you will see it add up over time. The only thing is it's a little bit risky for newer players. If you're not used to plinking buttons like this, or like rolling your finger across two buttons like this, if you do this and accidentally backdash, you'll obviously go in the opposite direction and kill a lot of your forward momentum and lose some time. So this is why movement is important to practice, because a lot of these are manual inputs, and everything but accelerator here, which is the fastest in the game where you just hold the button down, really depends on how precise you can be. But the good thing is that there's a plateau at how precise you have to be. So again, with frame rate controlling a lot of the things that happens in the game, especially with uncapped frame rate, like I talked about in the first video, the window to get these things in and to be precise is much larger when your frame rate's uncapped and you get a lot more than 60 FPS going on in the game. And also, Miriam still has a capped speed, like the backdash only moves so fast. So if you're a little slower than me at this, you'll still be moving just as fast. Right? So I can do super precise inputs, but again, I'm risking screwing it up, right? Because I'm doing them really fast. There's a lot more of a chance that I'll accidentally stop myself like that. If you get a nice good rhythm going, you'll still be moving as fast as me or as any player. You just will have less risk of screwing it up. So when you're practicing this stuff, it often comes down to the same way you would practice, say, movement, or, you know, when you're like walking or running, being consistent, stepping the same distance each time so there's not erratic action, you know, or nothing gets in your way. Music, you know, rhythm, that kind of thing. Just get used to pressing the buttons at the same time, or dash and then crouch, and then dash and then crouch, and then just kind of slowly do it and then speed it up. You'll eventually get to a point where you'll get pretty good at it. Now, to bear in mind, this does take a little bit of toll on your hands because the castle is pretty big, like we mentioned before. And if you don't find any better horizontal movement, you know, this kind of thing can add up. So if you feel your hands getting tired, make sure that you put the game down, take a save, build up to the ability to be able to do all of this over the long course of time. Only do one run a day for a while. You know, build up your stamina and your ability to, you know, like your body's ability to be used to this kind of stuff. You definitely don't want to get an injury or have issues playing video games. You want to enjoy them and have fun. So quick disclaimer there. All right, now let's just cover the other movement options. First of all, we have equipment that can make all of these things faster. They're all accessories. You'll find them throughout the game. The speed belt will make your normal walking speed faster. This, I think, is just a slightly bit faster than sliding, but I still, if I recall correctly, it's pretty break even with backdash canceling. And also, this doesn't have really great stats, so it's almost never worth putting on. But, you know, this is a great item to use when you're beginning and, you know, you don't have time or you don't have the hand, you know, stamina and speed and all that to practice. You want to build that up. This is really good to use. The Strider belt makes sliding much faster, and you slide for a longer distance. So when you put the Strider belt on, this is actually faster than backdash canceling by itself. So you'll see a lot of times when we are playing, we'll put this on, and we'll use this when we find it because it's faster than the option that we have. And then similarly, as well, we have the Moon belt, which is also available in the game, and this is going to increase your backdash speed. So obviously your backdash canceling is going to get even better from there. All right, so those are the accessories that exist that can help you with your movement speed. Now, some weapons have an ability that will allow you to move forward very fast. Graham is one of them. There's a couple pole arms. They all use a quarter circle forward and attack motion. And they have a build up, but then you will take off running like this. The key is this drains MP from your character, though. So when you don't have Jeebel's glasses, it's a little bit tougher to get working because you see how fast it drains your MP, and you're definitely not going to have 800 in a randomizer run. So keep that in mind. Those items do exist. You can research those on your own, or I'll talk more about them in like the items video that we do later, or equipment video. Okay, so now we have the double jump. Double jumping is really good in this game. It gets you extra height, obviously. Gets you another spot where you can cancel stuff. You know, but it also has a very cool benefit to travel downwards called the dive kick. So down and jump again you'll shoot straight down if you're holding down on a diagonal, and you'll dive kick down. You notice Miriam has that little crouch move though. Again, that's recovery. A lot less recovery going straight down. A lot more recovery when you do a diagonal. However, crouching can be canceled with a lot of stuff. Backdashing, slides, attacks, all sorts of things like that. You can even stand back up. Or, if you let go of down, you can jump before you fully animated standing back up. See how Miriam animates standing back up and down here and crouching? You notice if I'm crouching and I let go of down and I hit jump, immediately I will jump before she even animates in the standing back up. So this leads to a very interesting technique with the dive kicks. You notice that looks a lot faster than walking, doesn't it? It's even faster than backdash canceling if you can do it really well. And all this is jumping, immediately getting a dive kick as fast as you can with the down diagonal and the jump button, letting go of down, and then jumping again while holding forward. So basically you're rolling between down forward, and just getting the jumps in as fast as you can. And there's some technique into making sure that you don't hit jump again before you've let it go of down, because you'll see I'll get a slide if I don't let go of down. But if you have like the Strider belt on, that's not even necessarily a bad thing because the slides are fast. And sliding is better than walking forward. So if you mess one up and every now and again and get a slide, it's not a big deal. But this is something you can practice. You don't always have double jump. In fact, you'll get it a lot more rarely in certain seeds, just because it'll be way out of your way or something. But it is an option, and it's a really cool movement technique that you can practice and get better at and optimize and get a lot more out of the game. Next movement option, we covered it previous video, high jump, up and back dash. What this does is just get you a lot of height. You can spam this. It hits ceilings, you can climb very tall rooms with it. It has no benefit to horizontal movement, but it's much faster than doing an invert. So invert I actually showed you as well in the last video. Invert in an open world area without a ceiling will automatically revert you back down. But you can notice how slow invert is. The whole castle has to flop, and then Miriam has to turn upside down. If you don't have dive kick to go down quickly, you don't have that option. So high jump is really, really good vertical movement. And there's a few other things in the game, but none of them really compare to what this is. And this is accelerator. This is a blue shard, and it does drain MP when you use it, but as you can see here, if you just hold it down, it will drain MP, but it makes you fast. This is the fastest horizontal movement you can find in the game. It's why you'll often see us go out of our way to check blue shard drops sometimes, because the payoff is only a 1 in 9 gamble. And if you get this thing and your opponents don't have it, you'll make up so much time. It is great. And you can combine all these techniques together. You can even dive kick, but unfortunately, whenever you dive kick, that stops your acceleration. And some of these things, like obviously you don't need to backdash, but you can combine double jump, you can combine high jump with this thing, and you can just traverse. And remember, you can stick attacks in here too. So you can, basically as you get used to this kind of stuff, you can always throw attacks in. Attacks will be canceling. You can play around and see what's cancelable and what isn't. You can cancel a attack with a backdash. There is a window though. You can cancel the attack with a backdash, but you can't cancel the recovery with a backdash. Notice that? Once Miriam's hitbox came off the screen for the sword, now I'm spamming on B, and it doesn't come out until after she, kind of resets there. But when you have a faster attack speed, you have a bigger window. So like you're going to see this window a lot more when you play, as opposed to what I'm showing you right here, because I have a faster attack speed due to one of the books I have, but you won't have that book. And, you'll be able to, right there, I was trying to press it and it didn't come out. But in the middle of the swing, while the hitbox is still out, I can backdash. So you can use that, jumping, as you can see, jumping in the air and attacking. This does a lot of recovery canceling for you. You can jump, attack again on the ground, cancel the attack, the backdash, jump forward, attack again, and loop that over and over, and that's how you get some of the really cool melee you'll see later in the game and all that. So that's going to conclude the movement tutorial for now. And definitely take your time, practice, build up. I mean, when I started this, I was absolutely terrible at all the movement. I only got good over time and by practicing. And leverless definitely does wonders. If you're a person that has experience with a leverless controller, don't feel bad about that. There's no advantage to be gained really from leverless in this game. There's no real advantage from being able to hold up and down or left and right at the same time in terms of like not using glitches and stuff. So don't feel bad about your selection of controller there. All right. So that's going to conclude this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one when we cover a lot more topics. And if you are watching this series and this is the first one you've watched, and you haven't seen my message at the end of the other videos, please make sure, whenever you're finished watching all the tutorials, to check out the last video in the playlist for a very special announcement if you're still watching in 2025. Thanks. See you in the next one.